restaurant in Tampa, Florida. We're going to be bringing him on here in 1 second, so stay tuned. Remember, while we're doing this interview, while we're doing this chat, if you would, please leave any comments or messages below. And during this process, we will answer and respond to those questions. If you have any comments as well, leave those below. If you want to see any further live updates, or if you want to get the live updates, please click on the link to do so. All right, so let's bring him on. Again, this is Luis Capdevila of La Teresita restaurant in Tampa, Florida. Welcome, Luis.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, sir?
All is well, all is well.
Very
How's
good. So how are you doing?
yeah,
How's everything going
good?
with
Well,
you?
we're living in it looks like we're living in a different world. Who would have said we would have been in this position? It's pretty crazy.
It is. I agreed. I'm sure everybody else does too. Definitely not something you would thought about happening or thought would happen here anyway.
No, no. Well, I'm a church planner, so I've talked to our people in India and Pakistan, Cuba, Haiti. I mean, it is it's amazing. You look at it, you think you're living one of these horror stories. It's all over
That's
the world, really.
Well, that's
Unbelievable.
interesting you brought that up. That's interesting you brought that up. Are the other people in the other countries saying anything different from what we're seeing in our media?
No, actually, they're being warned to stay at home, so everybody is staying at home. I talked to a couple that are in villages, and for some reason, uh, we'll talk about it if we got time. The politics behind this thing. They're in villages. They're also in their homes. It's like Cuba is the same thing. Colombia. I talked to Colombia yesterday, and they were told me that everybody is restricted in their everyday going. So it's basically the same thing being said worldwide.
That's just crazy. It seems like we're watching a movie.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we watch these movies on TV, and here it's happening right now. It's amazing. You know, we were one day Thursday of last week. We were good. I mean, our sales have been going up, and then here comes Friday, and we took the dip.
Yeah.
And the dip got bigger on Saturday and Sunday, and we started with closing our it started with all the catering and all the banquets, people canceling. Then it moved to the restaurant, and we got 100 employees, so we're caught in the limbo. What are we going to do? And then from there it went into the cafe actually just closed down a couple of days ago, and now we're down to the bakery closed down, and then the takeout is the only thing takeout, and the delivery services is all that's going on.
Okay. So now
So
that you brought that up about the takeout, if somebody wanted to get some takeout from you, some awesome food that you guys make, how
right.
can they get a hold of you?
Well, they two ways. You could call Uber if you want delivery, or um, you could call the restaurant at 813-879-9704, and they'll take your calls there.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
we're open from 6 in the morning to about 9 o'clock. We used to be open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 24 hours. But not even that. We were going 24/7, and when we first started back on, I think Sunday. But after 9 o'clock, everything dies down because nobody's out in the streets.
Right. And I know you said earlier about the process of you shutting certain aspects of the business down, the bakery. I know that with me making flan, I know that it's been it was difficult. It became very difficult for me to actually find supplies to even make the stuff.
Oh,
So,
it's crazy. All of a sudden the vendors are calling us. He says either buy a lot because we don't know how long it's gonna last. Uh, you know, and I got a call from the Cheney Brothers, which is a distribution company of food, and they laid off 400 people. Got a call
wow,
on Monday. 400 people, Cheney let go.
that's that's unbelievable. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
I ended up having to go to Walmart to buy supplies for me just to get something to keep me going.
Yeah. I mean, now, what we did was naturally when you go from X amount of sales to all for nothing, we have a bunch of food that was prepped already. So we had to go ahead and give it to our employees, so forth and so on, trying to
Yeah.
help them out. But,
Well, that I'm
you
sure
know,
they all I'm sure they all appreciated that for sure.
yeah, they do. They do. I mean, now everybody's waiting for the politicians to get it together to pass the stimulus. But as of today, they said that last night they came into agreement. But as of today, the Speaker of the House, Pelosi, said no. So we're back to see what happens. The politicians play with our lives. This is yeah, it really gets me mad. You don't want to get me going there.
Hey, it's definitely unfortunate, and it is happening that way. It just it's. I mean, now more than ever, it's becoming very, very apparent. I mean, it
Yeah.
can't be any more obvious.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you that um, because a part that I am a business person, I'm also a student of the Bible, and I'm also very aware of the things that are going, the public issues. And when all this first started hitting, I'm telling you, there's doubt in me in the sense of not that people are not being affected or dying by it, but most people don't realize that in America, over 100,000 people a year die from the influenza flu. Okay, and all over the world, the same thing. People die from flu and different complications that come. And so naturally, um, if you read some of the writings of the Rockefellers, the Bush, Ted, um, uh, what's his guy's name? Henry Kissinger, the globalists, and I believe that we have America has been trying to be brought down by the globalists now for over 40 years, and you could see the results of that in our culture. But if you read their writings and their quotes, the globalists want to bring the population of the world down to 500 million. And if you don't believe me, you could Google it, okay? And you'll see that it's very, very real. So naturally, things like this start to happen. I'm saying, gee, is this the beginning? And the Bible does speak about a world order that is coming upon the face of the earth that will cause uh, men and women to choose whether to take the mark of the beast. And if they don't take the mark of the beast, they cannot buy or sell. So with everything happening in the United States, all of a sudden it gets me thinking: are we there yet, or is this a practice run, or are we being tried to see how far uh, they could take us? Because the truth is, America has been the target of the new world government, the globalists, because unless America goes down, uh, they can't instill their plans that they have been coming with for 40 years. In fact, Joe, I know I may be talking a bit, but why would um, all of a suddenly people be so mad about President Trump taking over and the media hitting Trump for 3 years straight? And I can tell you the reason is because Trump has come and destroyed the plans of the globalists, okay, that they had already been, he killed all the treaties. He turned to nationalism from globalism. And what is happening is that, you wonder again, the media is controlled by these globalists. So people believe what the globalists say most of the time, even though people are waking up to the fact that this may not be what it seems. Okay, it's just turning in that way. Um, I mean, I'm saying in 5 minutes what really takes a long time to even teach or even bring out actual facts that one could see with their eyes where we're at with this. So, what's the next step? Next step is it's interesting. And one side, we're hoping that everything will turn for good, and the other side is this going south? So if the government doesn't act soon, you know, total industries would be totally destroyed, where there may not be a way to come back.
Yeah.
And this may be the avenue that we'll see in the coming days. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully this is just a bump in the road, and the president can bring this back. But I don't know, Joe. You know, it's
I'm
up
with
in
you
the
there.
air right now.
I'm with you there. I hope that that's all that is. It's just a bump in the road because, you know.
Could you hear me? I kind of lost the volume here.
No, I hear you fine. We hear you good.
Okay.
Yeah. What I was saying is that I agree with what you're saying as far as, and hope that this is just a test run because the alternative would be pretty scary.
Hold on, Joe. I got some people that came here. Oye, un momento, please. Oye, I'm online. Please go ahead, Joe.
It's it's all good. It's all good. We're live. That happens. So
Yeah,
what I was saying is that I agree with you, and I'm really hoping that all this is a bump in the road because the alternative is pretty scary.
yeah, it is scary. It is very scary when you think about it. You know how if what I have read for years, which a lot of people don't even dare to believe, if it's true, the world's in trouble. You know,
Yeah.
and the richest man in the world has not been Bill Gates or Bezos. The richest people in the world, we don't even know them, who they are. And unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the days where a lot of the things that the Bible has spoken about will come to pass are starting to come to pass. So,
Yeah, that's definitely something to think about. That's definitely a possibility.
yep. Well, like I tell people, if you don't believe me, that's fine. But when it starts to happen, then you'll realize that you were told a little bit about it.
Right.
So, but
Well,
anyhow, hopefully, right now, even though we're a pretty big operation, if things kick back on, everything will be all right. If it doesn't, then not so much for me or my family, but everybody else that needs that weekly income. It becomes a big problem. You
yeah. I
know.
mean, this is I mean, how long are we going to have to be before we recover from this? This is going to be a while.
Exactly. Well, that's a come what they're saying now is what's better, continue go out and live out our lives, or and bring the economy up, or let the economy fall to where we're all going to suffer and go to post what we call post socialism, post uh, communism way of life, which this is what a little bit what socialism and communism feels like.
Yeah.
The control and the lack of things. So, it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Did you, Louis? Did you grow up in Cuba, or did you grow up here?
Yeah, we just made 58 years. We got here in 1962.
Okay. So, how were you there? How old were you when you came over?
I was 4 years old. I just
Oh.
gave you my age.
I was asking because I wanted to know if you had remembered, or because maybe I thought maybe you had lived through the times of being in Cuba and having to kind of go through the same process of, food rationing, or there not being any food at the grocery stores, the stuff my parents talk about and my grandparents.
Right. Well, I've been going back to Cuba since 1996, so I know how the Cuban government works and all the rationing and the lines and uh, I've been in Cuba and I've been around with mothers would come into another neighbor's house and looking for a few eggs for her to feed her children. So, I know what it is. And I know what it is in Venezuela, how, great countries have been dissolved to nothing because of the political persuasions of some. And, you know, if you see some of the candidates that we've had, they want to lead the country in that direction, and it does not work. It has not worked in Russia. It has not worked in uh, uh, in in Cuba. It has not worked in Venezuela. It will not work. You know.
You know, I was talking about Venezuela last night. I was watching the Jack Ryan series. I don't know if you watched that, but I just watched the last episode of the second season, and it's an episode about Venezuela. And I asked myself, how does a country that's so rich in resources, how do they go from being one of the wealthiest countries on the planet to what they are today?
Well, I tell you, it's called government control. The government sells to the people that they will supply everything. They will supply education. They will supply medical health. They will supply everything, and they get them under control. And then they supply the food supply. And even though the leaders of these countries live like capitalists, the people live like socialists or slaves. I have a cousin of mine that is in Cuba. He does accounting work for a firm in Canada, and the accounting firm in Canada pays my cousin, pays the government, the Cuban government, $1,500 a month for his services. Guess how much my guess how much my cousin gets? $30 each month.
That's ridiculous. It's a shame.
It is a shame, and that's what socialism does. you
Right.
know make a lot of promises. People say, oh, we're going to give free education and free this and free that and free that. It's only a way to gain control. Okay.
Yeah.
Get us dependent on government.
Right. And of course, that's what it seems like, with some of the candidates that were, some of the candidates kind of show that that's what they wanted to do with our country.
Exactly. Well, um, uh, we're living in weird times, and I'll be frank with you. uh, the Democratic Party is not the same party that we grew up with. Okay. They've kicked
No,
God out of their political platform. They've kicked the American flag out of their platforms. They have turned our country into close, or what they're wanting is close socialism. You know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work that way. You know.
I
You,
so so I've been voting for 20 some odd years since I was 18 years old. I'm 40 now, and I think I understood a little bit then. I kind of saw the differences between both Democrat and Republican,
right,
and I knew, I have family members on both sides of the fence, or friends
right,
and family members on both sides of the fence,
right.
and I've always, me personally, I thought it was the best decision for me then to become an independent, so that way I can vote for who's the best for the
That's
country,
exactly right.
regardless if they were Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, that's the way we've been, even though we're registered Republicans. But
Yeah,
I'm not going to let the Republicans off the hook. Let me be
no,
frank.
because
This thing about you get elected and you're there forever, and
right,
now you basically enrich yourselves through the political system. How many politicians have started with nothing, and today their net worth is millions? Why
the
why
majority,
have our jobs been moved to another country? All right, because politicians, both Republicans and Democrats,
right,
sold us down the river,
yeah, sold us out.
sold us out.
Yeah, they're
You
looking
know,
for their best interests, and I understand that to a certain extent. But you don't want to do that to the very people that you're supposed to support. You
yeah.
know, I
Well,
don't.
it's all about the money and power. You know, and I'll be frank with you. Trump is not the easiest guy or the most beautiful guy to, because he's a tough guy, but I understand what he was trying to say to our country when it came to gaining our country back, because for years it's been sold to China. For years it's been sold to other nations, where Canada, Mexico, everybody was gaining off the United States, and all we were becoming was a restaurant nation. I don't know if you
That's
understand that or not, but you know,
yeah, that's one way to put it.
yeah.
Makes sense.
All the industry went out, everything went out the door, and you know, everybody was getting benefits, and America was being left behind. So I shame the politicians for that, even though that's changed a bit in two directions. The Democrats have gone more to the liberal, socialist, progressive movement, and the Republicans have gone more to nationalism, or whatever people want to call it. People call it Trumpism or whatever. But
Right.
that's the way I see it. You know,
Yeah.
that's the way I
Well,
see it, and hopefully, Joe, we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel here. If not, we are, like you said, facing very scary times.
yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Lewis, I have a question to ask you, and I don't know if this is something that you want to talk about. I guess I should have asked you first, but I'll ask you.
it's fine. Could you lower? Could you put up the volume some? I can barely hear you here.
What I wanted to ask you a question
Okay.
that I should have asked you before to see if it was okay. But is it okay if we talk about maybe your health?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. I wanted to leave it at that just in case, but I know that recently you had some health issues, and by the looks of it, anyway, it looks like you're back 100%. I hope. How you
Yeah.
feeling? What's
Almost 100. I suffered a heart attack, and I spent 3 months in the hospital.
yeah?
Died 3 times.
The reason why I brought it up is because the reason why I brought it up is because your story is unbelievable. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Got taken to heaven. I mean, it's an amazing story, really. And had to learn to walk again. But the only thing right now that I'm lacking is my eyesight. I'm not able to drive yet because with the heart attack, I also suffer a stroke. and it's affected my eyesight, and I'm not able to drive yet.
All right.
But other than that, I'm good.
That's good to hear, man. That's good to hear, brother. Really
Yeah.
is. Well, anything else that you want to tell your audience here, the people who absolutely love, like myself, La Teresita, your restaurant?
Yeah, I do. Actually, we want to thank them for their support. We thank them for all the years that they have followed us and made us successful. We're very, very appreciative. We're sad for the situation, and hopefully, we pray. We listen. We pray for our friends and families and our employees and the our clients and their families. We pray uh, uh, every day. We pray for them. And hopefully this will turn around soon. And
Yeah,
we want to thank them for their support, for making us La Teresita what La Teresita is today.
absolutely. I tell you, I have lots of fond memories of going there as a child. I used to go there very, very often on the weekends for sure. I get my café con leche, con mantequilla over there at the cafe all the time.
You'll be surprised how many stories we get out of there, man.
I I can only
I
imagine.
heard a story. Um, I think it came out in the Tampa Bay Times about a lady that would eat with her family there every Sunday after church for years. She passes away, and the family comes before the attorney, the lawyer, and the lawyer is going to read the will. And in the will, it reads that they have to meet at the Teresita once a month in order to get the ongoing inheritance.
That that's awesome. That's awesome.
We tell people all the time that we live life with people. We celebrate birthdays and babies being born, and we celebrate anniversaries and weddings and
Yeah,
funerals and things like that. So
yeah. I've definitely eaten many of meals there, and I have been able to. I've gone to upstairs to the event hall that you guys have upstairs, which is awesome. I've been up
thank
there
you,
several times for certain events.
thank you. Well, Joe, feel free to call me again to check up how I'm feeling and how things are going.
I will
Okay,
absolutely.
okay. And I'm at my mother's house right now, and normally I would be talking from my computer, but uh, hopefully it was an informative interview to everyone that's hearing this. So,
I'm sure it was. It was. It absolutely was.
and if you get as you replay this, if you get other questions, go ahead and pass them on to me and be fine.
Absolutely, I will. Yeah, if you share this, you'll see this on your profile as well if you share this interview.
Good,
So,
good.
Lewis, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. I'm so happy to see that you're doing better. Um, I wish you absolutely the best. Just, I mean, the only thing we can do, and you know, like he said, if you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And either now or later, if you're watching this when it's no longer live, we will respond. I will forward the information, no problem. Lewis, thank you so very much for being on the show. I greatly appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Once again,
Joe. Say hi to your wife for me. Appreciate it.
I will. Thank you. You the same.
All right, buddy. God bless.
Thank you, Lewis.
Love you, man.
Love you too, brother. Well, guys, again, that was an interview with Louis Capdevila of La Teresita Restaurant. Um, they are located off of Columbus Drive near Himes, in between Himes and Havana or McDill, in Tampa, Florida. They do have great food. They've been a staple in the Tampa area for, I don't know how many years, 60, 70 years, something like that. Um, it, they do an amazing job. Like he said, I'm sure there's hundreds of people or thousands and thousands of people with stories of La Teresita. So if you got a chance, please go by there and support them. Like he said, they're doing Uber and they're also doing takeout. So if you want to call ahead and order there, you can as well. Guys, thank you so much for listening in. He brought up a lot of really good points. Good story. His health story about his heart attack. I should have asked him prior. I'm glad he was okay with it, but it's an amazing story. It really is. I saw him several weeks prior at an event, a Cisco purchasing show for the food industry, and I couldn't believe what happened. So, but he's looks like he's doing fine. He sounds like he's doing perfectly fine, perfectly well right now. So that's good. As far as health wise. So, guys, thanks again. Remember, if you do want to see our future lives, our Facebook lives, and you want to get the notification, do that. Click on our Facebook, and so that way you can go down to the notification so you can get the lives. Tomorrow, we're gonna have on episode number 5 of COVID Chats. We're gonna have Anthony Gonzalez. He is a local attorney here in the Tampa Bay area, and he also has a gym. And we're going to be talking to him about several things now. You know, he's got 2 different businesses, and he can talk about 2 different things.